Mini SUVs are now incredibly popular in Australia. We were some of the first to shine a light on this craze when the Holden Trax launched in 2013, but that was 2 years ago, and the Trax is no longer your only option if you want a baby-sized crossover.
I'm Tom Baker, this is Chasing Cars, and today we've got one of the smallest SUVs on sale in Australia, the Holden Trax. The Trax was actually the first of the mini SUVs as we know them to launch in Australia in 2013 as part of Holden's model offensive from Korea. But in the meantime, some really good mini SUVs have launched as competitors to the Trax. So 2 years on, we're here to find out, is the Holden the better buy than great cars from Peugeot, Mazda and Honda in this segment? All Traxes share largely the same interior, which is based around this simple dash here featuring a 7-inch touchscreen that can use Siri for voice commands. There's no built-in satellite navigation, however it can download maps from your phone at your own cost. And it's not a bad system, just these touch-sensitive volume buttons down here are not as useful as normal rotary dials. This particular car is a higher-end LTZ version, which buys you this black imitation leather material on the seats, which is more durable than soft, and it's not that supportive over long distances. Apart from these, plus heated seats and some extra additional bits outside, everything else is shared with the base LS, which is about $4,000 cheaper. This is a mini SUV after all, so you shouldn't be expecting a mammoth amount of room in the back of the Trax. That said, I do have enough headroom at 6'0", and I do actually have enough knee room sitting behind a smaller driver than myself, however. 3 across, well, that's a real stretch. There's not much of a transmission tunnel, so there is space for somebody's feet down there, but this is a narrow car, so 3 adults will not fit together comfortably back here. As we said, the Trax is a small SUV, so there's not a great deal of room in the boot, which has around 350 litres of space with the second row up, or around the same as most hatchbacks. If you do need more, you can partially fold the rear seats, though you will need something holding them down because this doesn't lie flat off its own regard. Broadly, the Holden Trax is an easy car to drive. You get that higher seating position that so many people look for in a small crossover. You also have a huge windshield and big front windows here, meaning your visibility outwards is really good. However, the rear windscreen is on the small side, so the reversing camera does come in handy when parking this car. Also, it's quite a peppy little motor with definitely enough power to get you around city driving just fine. In fact, there are 2 motors that you can choose from in the Trax. We've got the turbocharged 1.4 litre petrol 4-cylinder here, which is more expensive than the base engine, which is a 1.8 litre naturally aspirated 4. The 1.8 is pretty slow. This turbo 1.4 is a bit faster, but with just 103 kilowatts of power and 200 newton meters of torque, it's no performance machine. A 5-speed manual transmission is available, and that's not too bad. We've got the 6-speed automatic, which is standard in the higher LTZ model, and it does struggle a bit. The engine, transmission and driveline just don't seem that well matched in this car. The Trax is not a conventional SUV in that all-wheel drive is not available. In right-hand drive markets, only front-wheel drive is possible in the Holden Trax. That's not really something that's particularly important for most people that buy this car. After all, the ride height wouldn't let you go off-road anyway. But it does mean that you don't get that all-pour grip in the rain, like today, that you get in some of the Trax's competitors as an option. And actually, the front-wheel drive nature of the Trax does make itself apparent from time to time. If you give it a little bit too much acceleration, it tends to get pretty squirrely at the front wheels in this turbocharged model. And to add to that, the ride is particularly firm. Despite that additional increase in the ride height, you still really do feel the bumps and corrugations in the road. Add in steering that is really artificially light all the time, including at high speed, and you have a vehicle here with the Trax that is fine to drive, but not fun or class-leading. The best car to drive in this segment is the Peugeot 2008, which is really good, closely followed by the new Mazda CX-3, which has more verve. But for people that want simple transport around town, the Holden Trax is certainly good enough. The Trax does excel in fuel economy though, returning pretty close to its promised figure of 6.9 litres per 100 kilometres. However, that's not the best in the segment again. We did achieve in the 8 litre per 100 kilometre range over our week with the car though. And although the Trax is a small and light car, weighing in at less than 1.4 tonnes, it does protect you with 6 airbags, standard reversing camera across the range, and a 5-star crash test rating.
It's worth cross-shopping the Holden Trax with the Mazda CX-3, Peugeot 2008 and Honda HR-V. They all do things a bit differently. In some ways, the Holden is the least remarkable, but lots of people will take pleasure in just that. It's simple and easy motoring, so buy what you need.